All right, welcome back to the 80 Star Basketball Channel. Another auction action. I've never done this many, but there was so much action with the 101s last night, and I just wanted to go over kind of my review, just my thoughts, and then what's upcoming really quick. But I did want to show that part of this was other couple notable auctions, and one being this Birdering Magic Gem at 10 that went for basically a $500,000. I thought that was pretty cool to see, and also this 195 84 star PSA 8 sell for just a hair under 30,000. I thought that was an interesting auction as well, and everything kind of on the up and up and solid. But let's get to the 101s because we had 7 ending last night, 6 graded cards, and then a bag. And the one thing, this one was a highly notable card. This one was a part of the Shanko collection. And this, I found out that this was one of the first star cards in 2009 when they started grading, was one of the first ones that ever got graded. And I thought that was interesting. And, I thought it was really, really cool. So this was an auction that went higher than I thought, and was very, very solid. I don't know if this was a record kind of thing, but definitely recently this was the highest one I've seen. And again, continuing the trend of these 101 prices going up. And so to jump from that, so this was one of the kind of the originals, and was kind of cool to see, definitely come up for auction, and just really solid price. These both, actually, every auction ended a little bit higher than I expected in some, and some were contained. I would have thought that most of these prices would have been contained, and maybe they were, but some of these not by much, because it was kind of like the island of misfit toys to me. A lot of these were questionable grades or were different for some ways, because like this 6, looking at it, there was this big kind of chunk. It's obviously a very well centered 6, but there was corners weren't that great, and it had this big chunk out, and that would have kind of, like, for me, I would have not thought that this would be a 6. But from the centering, I guess I can kind of see it. But I'm just on this one. I wouldn't think that this would have gone. This is definitely not one of your more eye appealing solid 6s, in just my view. Again, centering for most people, I view these centering a little bit. This is actually pretty good centering, but I don't weigh it as much as when I see something like this on the side. That for me is like, okay, I personally am not that interested in this card, and I think it got a bit higher of a grade, but there's such a range. You don't have subgrades, so there's such a range in 6s. And this one sold actually for one of the strongest 6 sales I've seen in a while. So again, up, trend going up. This one again is different. I like the fact that it's fairly solid around, not much white, but obviously, as you can see, the centering is not that good. A little surprised on the centering grade even. So again, kind of just island of misfit toys. And months ago, I think this card would have been about 14,000. December, January, and February kind of range, but this went for 18, and had it been better, I think it would have easily broken 20. And just something that I noticed on this card. But PSA does, if this is a crossover, someone might cross over, and this might go into a PSA 6, which would kind of justify the 18,000 price. But and it would be a kind of an eye appealing 6 and a PSA holder. So that's my thoughts on that one. Jumping on over to Heritage, an easier way to look at this. That's why I did the desktop view today. So we have we definitely have the first, I think, was the smallest and the biggest 8 I've seen, or the most I've seen an 8 sell for, is this one, and obviously with fantastic subgrades. And this is just a really, really, solid card. You can obviously do little nitpicky things here and there, like the corner or whatnot, but kind of follows the same standard I've seen for BGS with corners. If they're a 9, generally there's 3 solid corners and 1 that has a touch of white, so kind of in that range. But if this, if you get nitpicky, then this would be a 9. So this is a good solid 8 pickup in 27.6, and the price reflected that. So this eight, take a look at this eight. This is kind of like a mid range, is one of those really mid eights. I've seen better, I've seen worse, and just kind of like fell kind of down the line. And the price still 24,000 for, again, a few months ago, I saw these dip into the 18, 19 range. And even 20 was kind of a thought, but now this is bumped up quite a bit over that, almost a 30 something percent increase from the lowest on 18. So in a few months, it's definitely noticeable. This was the one that, again, I did not agree with this grading at all. And, it's just one of those things: buy the card, not the grade. The price reflects it for people. And to me, I personally would have rather had that eight above than this one. And yet this one still sold for 28,800, because simply that 8.5 is going to be too alluring to people's eyes. And I get it. The grade is the grade, and that's what people, will look at in comps. And if they take this out to the showroom floors where maybe, other people don't know, they'll get that value out of it, because they'll be able to look and say, hey, oh, that other 8.5 sold for 45,000. Clearly, and unless the person goes in and does their research, they're not going to see that this one has, corners. The difference between that PWCC 8.5 right here and that one is kind of night and day. So that's why this one went for close to almost double, not double, but definitely, not too far off double. That's crazy to look at. So, something notable. So again, that 8.5, there's a reason it sold for that. And then the bag, again, a bag that for 15.6, this was actually a good price, I thought. Kind of a decent. I know it's a damaged one and whatnot. However, the centering's pretty decent and pretty good on this. And the edge, obviously, it's damaged, but it's a bag, and that's going to have a premium to it. And considering a PSA 3 just sold for 11,000, this to me was actually a pretty solid price. Just obviously the eye appeal isn't great. So, and then I did see this. I shocked it went for this little. They even valued this the 61 Fleer box. Oh my gosh, I would have loved to have had this. And they guesstimated it 600,000. But when you see how clean and nice that thing looks, I mean, that's like you just got it at the store. The mom and pop, five and dime, or not, or convenience store had it sitting on a shelf. It's like they got it. I mean, that is pristine condition. And I will say that, to me, I'm like, only 372. Call me crazy, but that seems really low. And I thought it was interesting. So upcoming auctions. Do you want to jump to this? Kevin, a guy on a Facebook, we're part of a Facebook group, and he again, he just kind of lays things out, and I agree with a lot of his assessments. And he kind of thoroughly put some things together, and he put these three are going. I think he did this just for me. He doesn't know it, but that's what he did. This was perfect. Thanks, Kevin. And it gives you kind of an eBay an idea of the auctions on eBay, PWCC, and Golden. These are the three current ones. And he kind of talks to it, and he talks the eBay one. He basically said, hey, run of the mill, and right, it's a run of the mill. Kind of looks like the same, the one that went for 24. So I would kind of see it around that price ending 24. He says about 22, but I'll say 24 just to do the prices right, outbidding and try and win. So we'll see who's right. PWCC, this is right, I agree. This is a solid 8.5. So another quality. The quality is draining. That's what I kind of said. These auctions have been kind of the island of misfit toys, but there's a couple of exceptions. And, this 8.5 seems really solid to me. And, if I were in the hunt in the price range it's going to be, this would be the one that I would go after right here. And going on over to Golden, this again, these corners, I'm shocked that this is an 8. So this Golden auction, and this again, this is one of those where I think this gives Beckett does not give a good look, and kind of the name and why people might view this like, are you kidding me? That the corners have that screw down damage, and I don't know why they don't grade it. They look favorably, plus all the edge damage, and I'm looking at this going, an 8, really? You can see the centering is a hair better, but it pretty much is the exact same as this other copy, right next to it. And again, these three copies, for people who aren't totally familiar with the car, this is how the centering is. So this looks actually kind of natural to me. This doesn't look like, to you, you'd be like, it's up and down and off to the side. Like, this is horrible centering. And I'm kind of like, no, that's normal. And, just kind of par for course. But anyway, these are the three upcoming auctions, and his thoughts and my thoughts to them are pretty similar. And it's going to be interesting to see where those end at. So anyway, wanted to talk about all the auctions that ended, and then definitely wanted to kind of look at what's coming up, and just talk about a few others. And definitely, as I see it, this is probably a pretty rare event. I've never seen 7 go up at one time ending. And I think what happened here was people saw the big 50% price jump, and you're going to have profit takers. However, what's going to happen after time? This is going to go to people who are not profit takers, and these are going to be going into collections. And over time, someone might have bought this, but to flip a profit now, they're going to wait till it's about 60. So they'll hold it most likely until then. So all this does really is lower supply. People will be like, oh, people are, selling off. And no, this is quite the opposite. This is where you should take advantage of these. The charts, everything as it looks to me, is all confirmed up. And this was a big volume that all ended at higher than I would expect. Even the Heritage 8.5 was a little higher. I don't, the fact that got to 29,000, I'm like, okay, I get it. But that would be a few months ago, wouldn't have gone for that. So everything is on this. This added more volume to what we're already seeing, and basically just is substantiating, kind of like an easy assessment, and again, I think this is all just the start, and we'll see that obviously play out with time, how much time and what the next auctions are. Totally looking forward to seeing the ending, especially ones that'll be happening in a few months. But whatever that is, and however it happens. So if you didn't subscribe, give me your comments on these auctions, and I'll see you at the next video.